everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Linda. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. And you were telling me you're in Canada as well.
Yes, I'm from Ontario, Canada. I don't know if you're familiar with Ontario at all, but my husband is retired military. So we're in Trenton, which is Canada's largest air base, about an hour from Kingston, Ottawa, East Ontario.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. I've never been there. I know all the
Oh,
provinces and capitals, but it sounds really cool. Yeah.
mhm.
What do you guys do for fun there? Let's say I'm a tourist there. What would you suggest for me to go see or do?
Oh, in Ontario, the
Yeah.
biggest ones are the CN Tower, which is
Oh,
downtown Toronto. Toronto is about an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes from us, only because of the distance is not the big thing. It's the traffic once you get into the city, right? But the CN Tower, Niagara Falls, I mean, people come from
Oh,
all over the world to go to Niagara Falls, on our Canadian side. Um, those are the two big ones. And then, of course, we have a huge Toronto Metro Zoo, which is
yeah.
like miles and miles of walking and lots of
Oh,
things to do there. But, those are the big things for the city of Toronto.
yeah.
Of course, we have a lot of other smaller things, but those are the main attractions that people want to come and see.
That's awesome. I've yet to go to Niagara Falls. I want to go there. I don't know when,
Oh,
but yeah, thank you for sharing.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, I believe you. So many people go there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so
Mhm.
to start, Linda, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
My name is Linda Henderson, and I am 69 years old. I am a retired nurse of 37 years. I
Mhm.
spent all those years helping people in the community. The latter part of my career was working for, I don't know if you have it there, but it's called VON, which is Victorian Order of Nurses. And the nurses go into people, your home, and
Mhm.
just look after people in home.
Mhm.
Like if Mr. Smith has an infected toe, I go in and check on that type of thing. And so that's what I did for the last 10 years of my nursing career up until
Mhm.
um, the accident with my daughter. And then I didn't go back to work after that.
Mhm.
I am happily married, 28 years. Uh, we have a blended family,
Mhm.
5 children. When we got together, my husband had three, and I had two biological daughters.
Mhm.
My youngest daughter, Andrea, was 27 years old, and she was killed in a car accident on December 20th, 2011.
Mhm.
She was a social worker, and she was out. She worked for a group home, working with teenaged girls who had been through the foster system. And, it was kind of the end of the road for them. And she was just teaching them, life skills, how to be a good citizen in society, making, helping them reconnect with life in a normal way. And
Mhm.
some of them had, reading levels. Of course, education is impacted with all of their circumstances and
Mhm.
histories, but some of them had reading levels like grade 4, grade 5. So she was a teacher of their literacy program.
Mhm.
And so she taught them how all their basic reading skills. And that was her job,
Mhm.
predominantly her job. They were out, her and her coworker were out one day. It was a beautiful December day, no snow on the road. The sun was shining. There was absolutely no reason for this accident. They were stopped. Um, they were about 3 blocks away from returning to the group home. They were stopped, waiting to turn left. She was a passenger. Her coworker was the driver, and they were hit from behind by a transport truck driver who had been texting and driving and having an argument with his girlfriend on the phone. So he hit them, pushed them into the oncoming traffic, where they were hit again, T-boned
Yeah.
by a southbound vehicle, and they were killed instantly.
Oh, wow.
And that was the day that my world was crushed, and the
Mm-hmm.
lowest point in my life
Yeah.
at that time. I did not return to work, and I haven't worked since. So some people say to me, "Oh, you're retired." Well, yeah, I'm retired, but it was a forced retirement. It was not something that I had planned. So the rest of the last 12 years have been me trying to rebuild my life, find a new purpose, living through grief. So the last 12 years of my life have been living with this unimaginable grief that a mother never expects to ever encounter or live through.
Mm-hmm.
And all of everything that grief has to offer, you know, depression, anxiety, insomnia, um, suicidal ideation,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's what I've had to live through. And now I wrote a book. One of my ways of dealing with my stress, not stress, with dealing with all of these issues was to walk. And
Mm-hmm.
I was out walking one day, and when I walk, I, you know, yell, scream at God, cry, just get release all of the emotions of grief, talk to Andrea, and I decided that's it. I'm going to write a book. So I came home and told my husband one day, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to, you know, put all of my pain in, you know, I'm going to take a pen and it's going to be all on paper and I'm going to write a book. And if I can help one person or one family that's living through these things, then I will have attained my goal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And my book is called The Road of Love and Hope. It's a memoir. It is a story of the journey of child loss. And there is a lot of information in there about grief,
Yeah.
because I remember in those early days not knowing anything about grief, even though I was a nurse for 37 years and I had, you know, been around people helping them with their family members as they transitioned. And, you know, death was something I had seen a lot of. But at the end of the day, you go home to your family
Yeah.
and, you know, it's completely different. And then I remember going through this thinking, I'm losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lose my mind. I told my husband one day, you know, I don't know what brain injury feels like or brain damage feels like, but it sure feels like my brain is damaged because I can't even think.
Yeah.
And I walked around like a robot for the first 3 months, just, you know, in existence. My husband
Mm-hmm.
telling me what to do. It's time to eat. It's time to shower. When did you last shower?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. The fact that you're sharing, I can see the powerful soul that you are with a lot of resilience. And your story is helping so many people, whether you know those people or not. And that is the power of us sharing our stories, is that we reach people that we may think is not listening or watching us. So
Mm-hmm,
I honor you today. And I know your daughter's by your side and she's here
mm-hmm,
cheering you on. Very proud of all the work you've done, um, how you've processed your pain and remembered her. And yeah, yeah, she's here. And I want to honor you because I don't know what it's like to lose a child. And I pray I never know. And I pray for those who have, that they
mm-hmm,
find peace and reassurance and love. So thank
mm-hmm.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's part of how, you know, you learn to live through this, is remembering, first of all, you know, the love that that I have with my daughter, the love and bond that I have with my child is untouched by death.
Yeah.
You know, it's forever, it's eternal. And, you know, it's thinking about that love, remembering that love and using it. It shines like a beacon for me and gives me hope. And that's how I move along from day to day. And
Mm,
that's my new purpose now, is to reach out and help as many people as I possibly can.
mm,
I've been doing book signings wherever I can get an opportunity with Chapters, Indigo,
mhm,
um, doing as many podcasts, trying to tell my story, reach out to people. And I'm in the process of figuring out what kind of foundation to form. I
mm.
plan on doing that in an effort to help people. And which way I go, I'm not quite sure yet, so I can't say too
Yeah.
much about that, but that is my next step as well. I can even
Mm,
see myself talking, you know, I would like
mm,
to get out there and just create um,
mhm.
inspiration, hope, and empowerment, maybe with talking and motivating
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Well, your heart will guide you. It will, and it has been. And yeah, thank you. Let's get to know you possibly on a personal level, if that makes sense. I
Mm-hmm.
want to know, what was your childhood like? Do you have some fond memories? And why you chose a nursing career?
Well, I was born in a little town called Deer Lake, Newfoundland,
Mm.
and on the east coast of Canada. And we moved to Toronto. uh, Newfoundlanders call it, you're moving to the mainland, because Newfoundland is an island.
Yeah.
And so we moved to Toronto. My dad was looking for work when I was about 5 years old. So I was raised in the Toronto area, the greater Toronto area. And I was fortunate enough to be raised in a Christian environment. My whole life was immersed in church. You know, we went to church in the morning. We went to, back in those days, Sunday school in the afternoon, church in the evening. As I became a teenager, it was youth groups. I learned music. I played in the Salvation Army band. You know, so that involved Christmas time playing in the band. I went to youth camps. Everything was Christian, strong Christian upbringing, and very supportive parents.
Mhm.
So when it came to me dealing with the grief and loss of Andrea, um, that faith that was there had been completely destroyed and shattered. And
Mhm.
so it's not gone. It's, you know, it's come back. I have my faith back, and I believe that Andrea's in heaven, and I
Mhm.
believe, you know, that I'm going to go there and I'm going to see her one day again, and I'm going to live my life to be a good person. And my parents have been the strong influence in my life. Um, for
Mhm.
nursing, I guess my mother and father loved me unconditionally and gave me that nurturing to love others. And in turn, I want to be a nurse and
Mhm.
help others. So
Mhm.
that's how I ended up,
Mhm.
you know, on my road, my career of nursing.
Yeah.
I have my background with my family to thank for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think has changed in the healthcare system uh now versus back then? What has changed?
I remember the early part of my nursing career was in hospitals in surgery, and
Mm.
it was crazy, crazy busy.
Mhm.
But uh, what's changed is, I guess I'm aging myself. Like, somebody goes in to have a gallbladder removed, they were in the hospital for 7 days and watched and monitored, and, you know, it was a big thing. Right nowadays, I mean, open heart surgery, everything is just condensed and everybody goes home so very, very quickly. And it's not a good thing, but I guess
Mhm.
that's just how, our society has moved along.
Mhm.
The wait list for things now is ridiculous. I've recently gone through that with my husband.
Mhm.
He was told that he had to have surgery for prostate cancer, and we waited 6 months. I guess there are people that wait longer for different things, but
Mhm.
I guess when it becomes you personally, any time waiting
Yeah.
is something that you don't want to have to do, right? And
Mhm.
then as it turned out, it had gone further. You always sit back and think in retrospect, if he had surgery 2 months, we wouldn't have had to go through all this radiation. There's just been so many changes pushing people through the system. It's just not as nice as it should be.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah. I thank you for sharing because I don't know what it was like, but now you told me I can see the change that has taken place. I've experienced it all because I'm diagnosed with mental health. I've experienced it there. I had C-section. They tried to boo me out very early, and
yeah. It's crazy. I just don't
yeah,
understand it. There
yeah,
is, I guess I understand it because the population, there are more people,
mhm,
it's being in the hospitals like a business. You gotta get everybody
yeah,
through, right?
yeah,
And it's consequently you're sent home and there's so many things that could happen,
hmm,
and like you say, brand new mothers who know nothing about babies. And I don't think the support for anything in the healthcare is not what it used to be.
no,
Not at all, right?
mm-mm,
Like even community nursing, when I was doing it the last 10 years, it had changed. They were, oh, this person, you don't need to see them. Like it was, you only saw the real serious people. We used to go into homes, elderly, that had dementia,
mhm,
and they weren't taking their pills, and we'd fill up their pill box, and
mm.
none of that's done anymore,
No,
right?
no, not anymore. And I had to wait, I think it's 3 years just to see a spine specialist because of chronic pain. And I saw him and they're like, sorry, we can't do anything. Surgery would make it worse.
Oh my goodness. Now you say that, and it just reminds me, just last week, I get this phone call from my family doctor, and she said, Linda, are you able to go? I have implants in my ears, and I don't know if they're metal, so I don't think I can get an MRI. But she said, just wonder, Doctor so and so wants to know if you can get an MRI. And I said, Doctor who? And she said, oh, the specialist that you were referred to. And I said, I was referred to a specialist, like I don't remember. And she said, oh, yes, a year ago. Remember you were having problems with your back? And now this, so
Yeah.
it took, like you say, 2 years for you, a year for me. Now this doctor is
Mhm,
ready to see me.
mhm,
Meanwhile, thank God, for some reason, I do a lot of walking. I did
mhm,
have like a CT scan that showed that my back, I have so many bulging discs, and I'm at risk for, like, I go down the slide with my grandkids. I go
mhm,
down the slide with my great grandkids.
mhm.
Nothing's going to stop me, right? And the doctor said to me, my family doctor, no, I don't think you should be doing that, Linda. Well, I just continued my life over the last year. Thank God.
Yeah.
I have my aches and pains, but I don't pay attention to it. But
Mhm,
there you go, a year, two
mhm.
years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And what if I was suffering? What if I was taking medication and just barely making it?
Mm.
I would have had to wait a year. The same with you. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's
not
been
impressive.
bad. No, it's not. It's been really bad. Like I'm a single mom with two kids, no support family, nothing. And some days I'm just limping. I'm trying to be strong. Sometimes as
Yeah.
parents, we're crying, we're in pain, and
Hmm.
we don't want the kids to see that. Those are situations I've had to face because I've been put on hold to wait and wait and wait and see this specialist. I'm like, that's it. I'm taking things into my own hands, and it is what it is. Even in the emergency room I went, um, once I tried to stay away from anything medical, really. I know
Yeah.
most people are too, even though they're in pain every day. I know people who's in chronic pain every day trying to make it. They don't have a choice. There's not enough help or resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It it's mind-boggling, really, you know.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to mental health, I mean, I know we live in a little town of Trenton, probably, I don't know, 45,000 or so. And then the next one is Belleville, which is a bigger city. But even in that whole vicinity, there is nothing for mental health. The
Hmm.
counseling, if you want counseling, it's costly, and not everybody can has the money to pay for counseling, so there's nothing available there. And then I know for bereaved parents, bereaved mothers,
Mm.
there are no groups, no support groups. So that's something that I'm thinking about doing
Yeah.
with a foundation, right? Or I'm also going into the local churches.
Hmm.
They have a program that's been shared. I don't know if you know have heard of it. It's called Grief Share, and it is like a 6 week, 8 week program for grieving, and it's
Hmm.
it's structured and talks about, you know, grief and what to expect and whatnot. And it's faith based,
Mm.
but it's very knowledgeable for
Hmm.
anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm looking into being a facilitator for that. I did that a few years ago, and now
Hmm.
they don't have it at this church. So I'm researching and finding other places where,
Mm.
do you have it? Okay, I'm here. So I'm doing my own thing out there in community, trying to make myself known to help,
Yeah.
because there's nothing out there, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I believe you.
very
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. And grief, it's so complex. I've talked about griefs on so many episodes with so many guests.
Hmm.
Every single one of their stories pulls something in my heart and soul to sit with them where they are, not to rush to, to for them to heal and move forward. And I think that's a gap that is missed
Hmm.
in society or even the healthcare system. We rush, we put bandages on wounds that are
Absolutely.
open. We try to push people because that's what we would do, but we don't understand
Absolutely.
that people have to be where they are.
Absolutely. When it comes to grief, I mean, society says, I mean, how many days do they give you off work when you lose someone that you love,
Mm.
right? And then you're supposed to go back to work, and you're supposed to suck it up, buttercup,
Mm.
and just deal with it in
Yeah.
your everyday life, in your job as well,
Mhm.
right? So society says you just get on with it, and you're supposed to just live life as normal, do the things that you did before. Meanwhile, you're in excruciating pain.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the expectations of society
Mhm.
is not correct at all. And they, you know, of course, grief is expected to be, you know, all these different stages, and you're supposed to go through them. Grief is not linear.
Mm.
It is not linear. I
Mhm.
can go through, you know, it's been 12 years from me, and I can still go through some denial, and I can still go through those so-called stages.
Mhm.
And it's 12 years later. So there's no finish line.
No. Yeah.
There's no finish line,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So society gives false, false information. And that's what I'd like to change too. That's why I'm telling my story. You know,
Hmm.
I want people to know that, you know,
Hmm.
don't listen to what other people say. You know, you feel what you have to feel. You take as long as you need to
Hmm.
feel that. And it needs to be felt, because if you don't, it's going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I'm telling my story and I'm offering a platform for people to tell their stories. Is that
Mm-hmm.
I got tired of the elephant in the room, the so-called normal, and like we're supposed to be able to feel and process and cry, right?
Right,
And we get
right.
shamed for feeling.
Which is totally wrong. You
Yeah.
know, it's and you know, it is such a difficult thing to go through, and then there's no backup support.
No.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, for me, I would suggest for people, or if you're in an area and there are no support groups and there are no places where you can go and feel safe and be with like-minded people and tell your story, then at least check in with your doctor, because grief is a whole body experience.
Yeah.
And when you're grieving and when you're in so much pain, you don't care what's going on with your body. You may eat too much or you may not eat enough. You might not, if you had health issues before, you may not take those medications. You may not think about it. You're not going to be as conscientious. So the health issues you had before are going to be compounded by the grief.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to check in with your doctor. Another set of eyes. I did that for the
Mhm.
first, you
Yeah.
know, few years. It was weekly visits. Then I luckily had a good doctor. That's another situation. A lot of people don't have doctors. We're back to the medical part, right?
Yeah.
But it's another set of eyes to keep an eye on you, adjust any medications,
Hmm.
but you need to connect with someone in society, and it's really difficult out there,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And at times I find that it's very hard to detect someone who is grieving because we are taught to hide our emotions, to hide everything. I've seen people smiling and dying at the same time,
Oh, you
right?
put that mask of grief on. It's the grief mask,
Yeah.
and I still do it.
Me
And,
too.
you go out into society, you go to Walmart, you go wherever,
Yeah.
and people do not know what's going on inside, right? And
Yeah.
when now I'm really making an effort to talk to people more.
Mhm.
Uh, since I published my book, I have just found this new purpose, and I'm on this mission to help people. I was just at the vet yesterday, and I was, very frustrated. My poor dog couldn't breathe, and but
Mhm.
it's almost like it was just not meant to be, but it was just this situation where I'm at the office
Mhm.
and waiting to go in with my little Louis, and this woman grandmother comes out with her little grandbaby, probably about 4 months old. So of course you start talking, right? The mother was in with the vet with the dog with her dog, and we got talking, and she said, "Oh yeah, she's a preemie, and we're very lucky to have her. Her mother had many many miscarriages, and she lost a 6-month-old baby. So this one is pretty special." So I'm like, there goes my open door. I can talk about this. I can,
Mhm.
make myself available. The woman came out. We exchanged numbers. She doesn't live far from me. I'm going to take her my
Oh,
book,
wow.
and there's my one little step in community, right? And then when we were finished talking, the receptionist called me in, and I apologized. I said, "I'm sorry that took so long. I saw you waiting, but that was a very important discussion."
Yeah.
And after she put me in the room with my dog, she said, "Oh, I understand." She said, "My friend lives an hour away in Kingston. She just experienced a stillborn."
Oh, wow.
I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I talked with her and gave
Yeah.
her my business card and
Yeah.
said, "I will make sure she gets a book,
Yeah.
and so two
Hmm.
people in one day. But if I didn't start conversation and,
Hmm.
make myself known, it would be silence, because
Yeah.
people don't want to start talking about that,
No. No.
right?
Yeah. Wow. That was not any type of coincidence.
No, I'm just
Mm.
thinking it was meant to be.
Yes.
That I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that
Mm.
we meet people for a reason. People come in our life for a reason, and
Yeah.
I think it was just meant for me to be there that day.
Hmm.
And so now I have to go and deliver that book, and I'm going to stay in contact with that receptionist. And I
Hmm.
just want, there are so many people out there suffering, and there's nothing to help them. And
Yeah.
if little old me can do that to help them, then hey, that's part of my healing journey too.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine too. Mine too. And when we choose to help people, it's not easy.
Oh no.
I know with what you do, with what I do, and many other people with what they do, there's always criticism of not doing it good enough. not well
Hmm.
enough, not being qualified. And
Yeah,
I say to people who say, "Oh, you don't qualify for this." I do, because I lived all the experiences and things I'm sharing, right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um, I often say, that in that first year of my grief, I craved reading, not that I could read an entire book because I had grief brain, but I craved reading books about heaven. My
Mm,
whole life I knew about heaven, but I wanted to see it in paper. I just needed that confirmation. So I was reading my books, and then there was this one book I read and thought, well, I'll be able to read this book because it's written by a neurosurgeon and his experience, near death experience and whatever. And if there's medical stuff in there, that's okay, Linda, you'll be able to figure that out, right? And it was so scientific and it was so
mm,
heavy
mm.
that I couldn't read it. So
Ye-
when I sat down to write my book, I said, you know what? I consider myself after 12 years a grief expert. I've
Yes.
taken,
Yeah.
I've experienced everything that grief has to offer, and that gives me knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
So, but when I sat down to write the book, I thought I'm just going to write this book as though I'm talking to you right now, and this just happened to you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you my story, my experiences, my advice, and it's just written by a broken-hearted mama.
Yeah.
As easy as that.
That's so beautiful and powerful. And I think people crave that, and you're giving them that. You're right
Mhm.
about the whole scientific thing. I don't like books like that. I appreciate people who put out their heart into it to do it. It's just
Mhm.
not for everybody. I like raw truth. Take me straight to the point. Take me straight to the wound and the grief. I want to
Yeah.
see it. I want to hear
Mhm.
what happened, what cut you, how much you bled, who helped you sew it up, and show me the scars. That's the type of
Absolutely.
stuff I love.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm reading a book now called The Grief Brain, and it is written
Mm,
by a neuroscientist, but I can read it now
yeah.
because I'm at a place where I can,
Mm,
right? And I'm appreciating it because I'm realizing, not that I didn't realize before, that grief actually does physiologically affect your brain. And so it's interesting and I can do it, but it just wasn't for me then. But I believe that, a broken-hearted person.
So, hey guys, we're picking up from where we left off last time from the previous interview that you've been watching. Linda had some internet problem that was happening. And yeah, we just want to pick up and wrap up the episode and continue to share about grief and anything else Linda would like to share. So, Linda, we were talking about grief. Can you tell us more of your experience with grief and how have you been coping and healing from it?
Well, it's been 12 years. So it's been quite the journey.
Mm,
Um, Grief affects the body as a whole, emotional, physical, spiritual, um, every it's a whole body experience. And I have been able to somehow over the years work through those things individually. um, my spiritual connection, was born and raised in a Christian home, believed in God, and of course that was all crushed. Why does God allow uh, my 27-year-old daughter to be gone in an instant? So
mhm,
I have worked on that, and I can say that my faith, it's always been there, and it's restored. I mean, there are days when I cry and I talk to Andrea and I just scream out to God, help me. And sometimes that's all that's necessary, right?
yeah.
Uh, for me, walking was a big thing, a big healing thing in my journey. Walking, even in the beginning, it's you start just opening the door. If all you can do is open the door and let the sunshine in, open the door and breathe some of the outside air,
Mhm.
just moving your body to start like that. And then eventually, if as time goes on, it becomes a walk, a short walk, a longer walk,
Mhm.
whatever you can do to help the grief. And, that gives you the alone time where you don't have to think about people. What people
Mhm.
think you can, and that's what I did, screamed, cried, yelled, talked to Andrea, and release all of those emotions, because the
Mhm.
tears are the silent language of grief.
Mhm.
The tears flow, and they're the unfinished love.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Walking was a big thing for me. I kept in close contact with my physician.
Mhm.
Uh, for everybody, it's different, but grief again affecting your body physically. If you have physical issues, that are prior to having the grief, you're so consumed with the emotions that you tend not to pay any attention to what's happening to your body physically. So to have an extra set of eyes and the doctor looking at you and saying, "Oh, we need to do this," and just kind of monitoring things, because high blood pressure, all of those things, the grief
Mhm.
just, you know, um, pounds all those things onto your body.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, the emotional part, you're so wrapped up in it. I had counseling. I was in counseling for 9 years, steadily, consistently, without any breaks. And
Mhm.
I believe for me, that was advantageous. It was helpful. I could go once a week. I could just release everything I had to release in a safe, comfortable spot where there was no judgment,
Mhm.
and I didn't feel alone. I was with at least one person who was listening to me.
Yeah.
So, counseling, it's not for everybody, but that was part of my journey, counseling, being followed along by the doctor, trying to take
Mhm.
in life small steps at a time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And good on you for getting help because, like you said, it's not for just everybody. And I think at some point, everybody should get help if they need it, even though it's scary, it's hard, and it's talking to a stranger. I think sometimes we need somebody else's input, somebody else to listen to us versus the people that we know or we think we know.
Mhm. It,
Mhm.
it's not easy to reach out and say, I need help.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
you just, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's a very brave thing to do. And it's a very good step in the healing process for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. So do you still walk up to this day?
Oh, I do. Oh, I
Nice.
do.
Yeah.
And I just, I mean, I have a membership at the Y, right? But
Yeah.
I much prefer to be outside, to
Yeah.
smell the air, to look at the beautiful sky, to look at the clouds, even if it's raining,
Mhm.
because behind all those clouds, the sun will shine.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, I love
that's what
that.
I always, always think about, that the sun is there. It's just not shining right now. So, if I
Mhm.
have to shed those tears and the rain has to fall, it's
Mhm.
just, one of those days, or it could be many days, but the
Mhm.
sun will shine and it'll come out in small increments. I
Mhm.
I use nature as I really enjoy nature. So walking,
Mhm.
just being, going for a walk through, being connected with the trees and life,
Yeah.
just letting life enter in.
Mhm.
And there's nothing better than nature for that.
Yeah, I love that. I started walking too a few weeks ago and I do it every day. And
Mm.
yeah, I go when it's raining, when it's sunny, when it's cloudy.
Yes.
It's just very freeing. I love to walk not knowing where I want to go. You know what I mean? Not to have a clear direction and structured. I just walk. When I get tired, I turn around.
Yes, that's right. And for me, I listen to the birds for Andrea
Mm,
because she can't. I look at the beautiful sky. I take in all of the beauty around me because she can't. So I live for
mm,
her. I live for me, but I live for her. I'm
yeah,
honoring her by living, and listening to children as they chatter in a playground, all of those things, experiencing things that
Mhm.
she can't. So that's my mission, to live
Yeah.
my life for me, but to honor her.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I don't know if you believe in psychics, mediums, in the afterlife. Some people do, some don't. Is that something you believe in, or do you think you've been receiving signs from her?
Um, I I'm kind of on the fence with believing in that.
Yeah.
Um, I did very early in my journey, 6 months after, go and see someone, probably not somebody very prominent, and I didn't
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
Um, I was reluctant, and I didn't really believe in everything that that person said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, that's something I would consider in the future if it was if I felt it was, the right person.
Mhm.
But again, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Signs from Andrea, I get them all the time.
Oh, good.
She, I believe she sends people. There are angels among us,
Hmm.
and there was a situation. Couple of situations actually, one in particular where I was 2 Christmases ago. Her accident was December 20th. So I'm shopping at the mall in December, and it's not a good time for me. I'm just trying to do what I have to do for my grandchildren and my family, and kind of doing that robotic thing. My heart's not into it, and
Mm.
has been for 12 years, but I do it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm not sure what the trigger was.
Mhm.
Probably, maybe there was no trigger, but I ended up in the food court, and I was an absolute, grief attacked me,
Yeah.
and I was an absolute mess. And I just sat there crying. And,
Mm.
when that happens, I've learned that I don't let people bother me. If
Yeah.
and you become so overwhelmed, it doesn't matter. You're in another world anyway. I just sat at the table, and then there was this young man walking down the hall with his mother, and he came up to me
Hmm.
and he said, "Would you like a hug?"
Oh.
And I said, "No." Well, the natural response is, "I don't know you. No, it's okay. I'm fine." And then he said, "Are you sure? I give really good hugs." And the guy was probably about 24, 25. And I said,
Mhm.
"Yeah, sure." And so he hugged me, and he let me sob in his arms.
Wow.
And, he chatted, and, well, he asked me, "Do you want to talk about it?" And I told him my daughter passed and the story just briefly.
Hmm.
And he says, "Here, let me give you another hug." And in doing so,
Oh.
and getting me to talk, it
Mhm.
it took me out of that dark hole. And I was able to climb back out and be in the reality.
Mhm.
And, he left. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I mean, all the people that come and go,
Yeah.
but that one person, I believe Andrea
Yeah.
sends someone to help me. Then, and I have another story, the same thing, guy coming up and walking, just wanting to give me a hug, total strangers, right? And a lot of times we see people in distress and we just carry on with our busyness.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
believe Andrea is there with me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. What are some impactful stories that you've heard when it comes to, other people losing kids?
Um, Losing them, you mean,
You mean,
I'm sorry.
parents that have lost their kids. I think earlier in the episode you shared that you did some work within that category. Does that make sense?
Yes, I've since connected with quite a great bereaved grief community in Texas,
Mhm.
of all places.
Oh,
And
wow.
there are some mothers there. We have a Zoom that they start up now in another week. They took 2 weeks off, and they do a 6-week Zoom. And
Mhm.
there's as many as 28 people at the last Zoom, all bereaved parents. And my connection with them, these two women that do it, they're they lost their sons both to, in a motorcycle crash. And, they're honoring their children. One is doing the podcasts, and one is now she's starting to speak. And the other one has a foundation where she helps people in the community. And it's a matter of trying to turn that tragedy into triumph. Triumph meaning you're you're triumphant over that grief, not necessarily 7 days a week, but
Mhm.
you can be triumphant, and that's what they're doing, and that's my goal,
Yeah, yeah.
is to
Yeah, I
reach
love
out
that.
and help others.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, Linda, as we wrap up this episode, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
Um, it's become my new motto. Um, just, embrace the moments.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm pretty crazy over pictures. I mean, I take pictures of this. I have a whole folder in my phone of sunsets because every sunset is so different and it's just God's beauty.
Yeah.
So embrace the moments, whatever those moments may be, whether you be walking and you see something that makes you glance and look a second time, the beauty in that, or the moments with children, grandchildren, friends, the moments in life. Embrace the moments and cherish the memories.
Yeah.
That's when all I have with Andrea is the memories, so I cherish them. And what brings the tears also brings the smile, because those memories are special moments that you got to spend with your loved one, and how blessed you are.
Mm,
And continue to make memories with the ones that are around you that you love.
yeah. Yeah.
So, and then hope for tomorrow. Hope that tomorrow is going to be better than today. Everybody needs hope in their life and hope for tomorrow. And
Mm,
that's what I like to kind of lean into.
hmm. Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I have two questions for you as we wrap up. The first one is, what is the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life. Wow, that's a biggie. Um, I think life is, I love with a passion.
Mhm.
And whatever I love, whatever comes along in life, I love it. It comes to embracing the moments, I guess. Life is short, and time um time is valuable. And I think life for me is today. What am I going to do with my time today? Because today is the only little increment of time that I have control of.
Mhm.
So, what am I going to do with my life today? And what am I going to accomplish? And at the end of the day, I always ask myself, how could I have made it better?
Mhm.
So it's embracing the opportunity that my heart is beating, that I can be here and enjoy my family and things around me, God's creation, and enjoy it to the fullest.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
I'm
that.
not sure if
Yeah.
that's a good answer or not.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. That's the beauty of asking that question. But thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. And lastly, where can people find you and connect with you?
Well, I am on Facebook. I can probably send you I don't know if I send you the links for that, but I'm on Facebook under Linda Wesley Henderson. Wesley's my husband, so we share an account. But I also have Linda Henderson, my author page. I'm on Instagram. Um, and TikTok. My website is Linda Henderson Write. Uh, oh my gosh, Linda Henderson Write.com.
Yeah.
Um, and my book, The Road of Love and Hope, is on Amazon.
Mhm.
And my website, there are many links for Amazon throughout the website, so the book can be purchased there.
Yeah,
If
that's awesome.
anybody had any problem with getting that book, with financing to get the book, they could contact me at my website, my phone number. I could put my
Mhm.
phone number 613-969-2042. Connect with me, and I can make sure I get it sent out to you,
Yeah,
because my
awesome.
goal is to help as many people as I can. My email, lhenderson24@cogeco.ca. I don't know if there's a way that you can put all that information out there.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I'll be putting everything you've shared in this episode's description. So if anyone's watching, they wanna find all the resources and information, please go in the podcast description to find them.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Linda, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Oh, I try my best. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.